right, and we are back again with the second part of the training. So this is the 21 Laws of Leadership training, my take on it from John C. Maxwell. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be part two. And this is what we're going to help you do. We're going to help you take your leadership to the moon and accelerate at a pretty rapid rate. So if you enjoyed the first one, appreciate it. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Going to be bringing lots of value to you guys and to the channel. And we're only just getting started, so I hope you enjoy these presentations and my take on the 21 Laws of Leadership. Here we go. So what we're going to do, we're going to recap part one. Then we're going to talk about the importance of leadership. And then these are the laws that we're going to cover for part two. We're going to cover the law of connection, the law of E.F. Hutton, the law of the inner circle, the law of empowerment, the law of buy-in, the law of victory, the law of priorities, the law of sacrifice, the law of timing, and then we will bring it all together and we will conclude with the training. Okay? So in part one, these are the laws that we talked about. If you didn't watch part one, I would highly recommend going back and watching part one on my channel. And these are the laws that we covered. So we covered the law of the lid, the law of influence, the law of process, the law of navigation, the law of solid ground, the law of respect. We also covered the law of intuition, the law of magnetism, the law of the big Mo, the law of explosive growth, the law of reproduction, and the law of legacy. So those were all covered in part one, and then here we are today in part two. But really quick, just to cover those. So the law of the lid was basically that the lid of your leadership will never allow your business to get higher. So you have to increase your leadership lid to grow. The law of influence stated that the true measure of leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So whoever is most influential on any given topic or any sort of expertise, they're going to have the most influence at the time. You have the law of process, which states that leadership develops daily, not in a day. So this was the compound effect of the law of process. You have the law of navigation, which states anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. Okay, so you have to have the big vision and show your team and share with your team. You got to show them where you're going, where you're going to get to. You have the law of solid ground, which states that trust is the foundation of leadership. And then you have the law of respect, which is people naturally follow leaders stronger than themselves. All right, and then some more. We have the law of intuition, which was leaders evaluate everything with a leadership bias. We have the law of magnetism, which states who you are is who you attract. The law of the big Mo stated that momentum is a leader's best friend. The law of explosive growth says that leaders who develop leaders multiply versus just adding on followers or doing addition. The law of reproduction, which is that we teach what we know, but we reproduce what we are. And then the law of legacy, which is a leader's lasting legacy is measured by succession. So that's the recap on the first part. Again, if you have not seen that, be sure to go back and watch part one of the training, so that way you're not off track here with part two. But again, why is leadership so important? Why is it something that we should develop to begin with? Well, let me explain. There's a number of reasons. Number one, it's going to help you establish your vision, your mission, and your core values. And that's going to be the driving force behind any organization, okay? People need to understand what is the vision of where we are taking this to. What is the mission of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and then the core values are how do we govern ourselves? What standards do we hold ourselves to? And basically what do we attract into our organization, and what do we repel? Okay, we only want to attract people that match our core values, and our leadership is also going to attract those people in. So very important from that standpoint. And then leadership is also going to help teams hit targets and goals. It's going to help keep the teams accountable to that. And then number three, you have my favorite, which is that a rising tide raises all ships. So the leader sets the pace. So think about that. If you're in a harbor, right, and you've got all the ships, and you see like a time lapse video of high tide going up, low tide coming down, you can literally see all the ships rise with the tide. So increasing your leadership, um, you're going to set the pace for your team. You're becoming that rising tide for your team, which is going to raise and lift up everybody. So it's super important. So we want to be that rising tide, and that's why we put such a massive emphasis on leadership, is because the more that you can develop yourself as a leader, the more you're going to be able to raise the tide for your team. Okay. So let's dive into some laws, okay? We got the law of connection, which states that leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand, right? We've got this bridge. This bridge is a connector, okay? The law of connection. Leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. So what does that mean? Well, it means that relationship is leadership, okay? Relationship is leadership. People want to know that you care. There's a saying, people don't care what you know until they know you care. Okay, so people do want to know that you care, and you should care. So, if you care about your people, they're going to know that, because people won't go along with you if they can't get along with you. And so it's all about, becoming likable, becoming relatable. It starts with your smile, it starts with your energy, it starts with how you speak to people, it starts with how you respect people, it starts with how you engage people. Do you listen to people? Do you actively listen? Or do you wait for them to stop talking so that you can talk, right? Are you actually engaged in what they have to say? Are you engaged in what they like and what they want to talk about? Um, they say it's everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me, right? So, you wanna show people that you care, ask questions about them, be engaged, be an active listener. It's gonna make it a lot easier to connect. And here's some additional tips on how you can connect with people. Step number one: go ahead and make sure that you connect with yourself, right? Because if you don't connect with yourself, you're going to have a hard time connecting with other people. So you kind of need to learn as much as you can about yourself and just connect with yourself internally, because people are not all that different, right? Everyone wants generally the same things. And I'll prove it to you right now, right? Everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to, make money. Everyone wants to have good relationships. Everyone wants to do things that they like to do. Like, everyone likes probably good food. Everyone likes going to, different types of events. Some people like to go to sport events. Some people like to go to festivals. Connect with yourself, understand yourself. You know, a lot of people like music. Like, find different things that you can connect with other people on, because we're all pretty dang similar. Okay, there's a lot of similarities between you and between everybody else. We're all generally the same, but it all comes back to wanting to be loved, wanting to be successful, wanting to be happy. All these types of things is what everyone wants, okay? Next, you're going to share with openness and sincerity. So, like, be sincere, like, share openly. Don't be this guarded person. The more that you lower your walls and let people in and be vulnerable, the more that they're going to trust you. Like, vulnerability truly does build trust. So, share openly about your challenges, about your struggles, about the things that you face on a daily basis that other people can learn from, and be sincere in sharing it. Like, it's not a transactional type of thing. Just share without expectation, and trying to help people, right? Next is to live your message. So, live in your message. Be your message. What is your message? Okay, learn your message. Know your message. It comes from your personal vision, your personal mission, your personal core values. So live in that message. Be that message. Okay, and then know your people. Like, take time to really get to know your people. People in your circle, people in your family, people that you are engaged with on a daily basis, their acquaintances, coworkers, business partners, employees, staff, team members, vendors, JV partner, get to know people and also communicate on their level, right? No one likes to feel like they're being talked down to, right? Nobody likes to feel like they're being talked down to. So communicate on the same level as people, and that's giving them respect. And it's not that you're shrinking yourself or you're saying, "Hey, I'm gonna come down to your level because I'm up here." It's just approaching people from a person to person standpoint and giving people the respect of, hey, you may be the janitor, or you may be in this position, but I respect you, and just because of your pay grade or your position in the company or where you stand, I'm not going to treat you like you're dirt or you're garbage because you're a human, and humans all are generally the same, like I talked about, and we all want to feel loved, respected, valued. We want to be successful, we want to be happy, we want to do the things that we want to do. So treat people like that, okay? And then give yourself totally to the people and the message. So that message that you're living in, give yourself to that message, give it to the people, and believe totally in the people and the message, right? Everything comes from a place of belief. Like, that's your foundation. And share how the message has touched you, okay? How has the message changed you? And by you living in the message and believing in the message and following the message and chasing success and abundance and helping people and all these things, how has that shaped you? How has it touched you? And then finally, you want to offer direction and hope. So show people, like, this is the direction, this is what it's going to be like, this is where we're going to get to if we rally, if we do this thing, if we come together, if I lead you successfully, this is where we're going to go, this is the promised land, and things are going to be really good, and it's going to continue to improve. So offer that direction and hope, okay? And that is the law of connection. Next, we have the law of E.F. Hutton. So this law states that when the real leader speaks, people listen. Okay, when the real leader speaks, people listen. So E.F. Hutton, just for some background knowledge, was an American stock brokerage firm that was founded in 1904 by Edward Francis Hutton, E.F. Hutton. So in the 1970s and 1980s, a trademark of the commercials was a crowd of people that would suddenly fall quiet and listen whenever E.F. Hutton was mentioned. So the tagline became, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen, and it would close out the commercial. Okay, and that's basically what it's talking about here, is that when the real leader speaks, people listen. So it's closely related to the law of influence, right? If you're in a group and an important decision needs to be made, the group will automatically look to the real leader. Even if there's a different positional leader in place, the people in the room will automatically know and look to the leader, the real E.F. Hutton. So if you have a proposal for your team or you want a group to buy in to what you're doing, I would suggest, and so would John C. Maxwell, that you do a pre-meeting with the E.F. Huttons and get the buy-in of your close leadership group, your E.F. Huttons. It's the meeting before the meeting so that you can get the general buy-in of the entire team. So really important. And it's the difference between positional leaders and real leaders, right? Because positional leaders have a title, but not always a following. Real leaders have a following, but not always a title. So positional leaders influence positional people, where real leaders influence everyone. So again, put yourself in that sort of board meeting type of setting, and you've got some new information coming out, and you have like a boss, like a manager, but you have like a team member who's actually the real leader and influences the team the most. So what people will naturally do is look to the real leader, and if the real leader's like shaking their head and being like, yeah, I'm into it and I like this new initiative, then the rest of the team will start to buy in as well. But if that person is not against the proposal or the initiative or whatever it is, the people will sense that, and that E.F. Hutton will have true leadership and true influence over those people and over those groups. So that's why you want to get the buy-in of the E.F. Huttons that are close to you. So what defines a real leader? Well, real leaders become real leaders because of character. So that essentially means who they are. Real leaders also become real leaders because of relationships in regards to who they know. Real leaders also become real leaders because of knowledge, which is what they know. Real leaders become real leaders because of intuition, which is what they feel. Real leaders become real leaders because of experience, which is where they've been. And real leaders become real leaders because of past successes, which is what they've done. And finally, real leaders become real leaders because of ability, which is what they can do. And that, my friends, is how to become a real leader and the law of E.F. Hutton. Next here we have the law of the inner circle, and this states that a leader's potential is determined by those closest to them. So a leader's potential is determined by those closest to them. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, you can't do anything significant by yourself, number one. So, all throughout history, look at everything substantial or, monumental that was done or built or shaped or whatever. It requires lots and lots and lots of people. It requires a team. It requires a nation. It requires an army. It requires, lots and lots of people. So you can't do anything significant by yourself. So you want to bring people around you, aka an inner circle, and have your key players, because the weakest link in your team determines the strength of your team. I'm sure you've heard that before. The weakest link in your team determines the strength of your team. So you want to make sure you don't have any weak links. So your inner circle commitments, okay, which is your team leadership. So you want to evaluate your leadership team, and these are some evaluation tools. So when you're looking at your inner circle, right, look into their potential value, right? Those are people who raise up themselves, right? That's valuable. What about positive value? Those who lift up the organization as a whole. Okay? Personal value to you as the leader, those who raise up the leader. That's a valuable person to have in your inner circle. Or production value, those who raise up others. They help the team actually produce more. And then proven value, those who raise up people who raise up people. So they duplicate leaders in your inner circle. Okay, so these are some things that you want to look for as you develop out your leadership team, because as you grow and scale your business, okay, you want to feed back into your team and develop your core group and help be that rising tide, again, for your leadership team. So the more you develop your core leadership team, the more successful your organization will be, and the more results everyone will achieve together by developing out that leadership team. Okay, so very important to do that. Moving on, we have the law of empowerment, which states that only secure leaders give power to others. Okay, only secure leaders give power to others. So what does that mean? Okay, that means that the people's capacity to achieve is determined by their leaders. And real leaders empower others. They don't limit or inhibit their growth. Because when you push people down, you go down with them. Literally, take yourself in physical form and imagine you're grabbing someone on the shoulders and you're trying to force them down to the ground. As you push them down to the ground, due to physics and gravity and all the things, you go down with them. You literally will go down with them. But when you lift others up, you go up with them. So you go down and you put your hand down to raise and rise them up. And when you lift them up, you literally go up with them. So you either go up or down with your people, and that's why you want to empower your leaders. But here are some of the top reasons on why leaders fail to empower others, and a lot of it stems from things like insecurity, right? An insecure leader has never empowered everyone. They're insecure, and they feel like if they empower other people, it's just going to be a bad thing because they're insecure in their own leadership. Job security. This happens a lot in corporate America, where oftentimes leaders, a lot of times positional leaders, will push people down or hold them back because they are fearful of being replaced. So they don't care about the organization, the greater mission, everybody, the team. It's a self-motivating thing based on insecurity, scarcity, lack, all sorts of things. And so they don't want other people to grow. They want to actually hold back other people because of their own selfish needs and their own selfish desires. And they want to do the bare minimum. They want to be lazy. They just want to have the role, and they don't care about really anything but themselves. So this is a really bad one. Sometimes it's because of a bad experience. So maybe you've had an experience where you empowered someone only for them to backstab you. I've had this happen to me a lot of times, but unfortunately, that's sometimes the expectation with doing that, and it will expose people and their true intentions in some scenarios and situations. But then those are people that you can remove from your circle permanently. So just because someone backstabbed you previously doesn't mean that every single person is out to backstab you. But what it's going to do is it's going to make you smarter at identifying that and identifying what those red flags are. And I've noticed a pattern personally between business partners that have backstabbed me, which has been quite a few, employees that have backstabbed me, which has also been quite a few. I'm really good at picking up on those things now, because there was especially quite a bit of this happening in some of my latest ventures, going back a year or so ago now, where it ended up not being a successful venture, and a lot of this was taking place in the organization, with people that were being empowered within the organization, and they're just not good people, and so it's something where you can't hold on to that cognitive dissonance and say, okay, well, I'm not going to empower anyone ever again, and I'm going to hold people in a little bubble because this thing happened to me one time. You have to lower the walls. You have to trust. You have to be vulnerable, but you get smarter at your ability to empower, and to allow people to prove their loyalty, prove their integrity, prove that they gel with your organization, that they gel with your core values. And this does cause, yeah, it does cause a fear of empowering others again. But I'm telling you, you have to drop that fear, because again, you're going to limit your leadership potential, you're going to limit your organization's potential, and you're going to limit a lot of your people's potential, if you fall into that trap. That's one of the tougher ones. Ego. This is another big one. A lot of people, especially business owners, have massive, massive egos. So this is a popular one for leaders to have an ego and want to feel like they're the greatest thing, and that they are the best, and they like to keep people below them. So this is a lot of people in business have an ego problem. So I would recommend reading the book Ego is the Enemy. Ego totally caps your potential, because if you know it all, well, then there's never any room for growth. And at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know a lot more than you do know. There's an insane amount to know, and it's impossible to know everything. Like, you could never, ever, ever even come close to knowing even a fraction of everything throughout your lifetime. So don't act like you do it, know it all. Don't be the ego person, and you're not that special, right? Everyone, I mean, everyone is generally, yes, everyone is special, but we're not that special in a way where you're godlike. Like, everyone's a person, everyone can be successful, everyone can do big things, and a lot of people are capable. So a lot of people can do what you do. Okay, so recognize that, and that's a good thing, because when you recognize that, you can lift people up and grow with them, and it builds the team, builds the org. And then you have, lastly, codependency, which is you can't lead people if you need people. So if you need them in a codependent way, you'll never make the hard decision. So this is basically saying that sometimes leaders will suppress people's growth or fail to empower them because they're highly dependent on this person, and they're afraid that if this person goes up or leaves them, that now they're not going to have that codependency. And again, this comes from a place of scarcity, it comes from a place of lack, it comes from a place of insecurity, all these things. So don't be codependent. Be independent and empower your people, empower your key team, empower your partners, empower your employees, empower the people around you, and let them live in their full potential, and don't ever suppress that. Empower the leaders, and it's gonna return tenfold. So again, only secure leaders give power to others. You can only add value to people if you truly value people. So do value them, because they are valuable, and people are valuable. And relationships are the most important thing in life. Money is great, money is a tool, but at the end of the day, It's just that. It's just a tool. And you can go through your life and you can stack all the chips and you can be, one of the wealthiest people in the graveyard, and what does that get you? There's no long-term return on that. There's no impact, there's no helping people, and it shows only that you didn't value people and you only valued yourself. So you want to leave a legacy behind you. You want to leave positivity behind you. So know that I can only add value to people when I know and relate to what they value. And if you remember, we're all very similar, right? We all want to be loved. We all want to be valued. We all want to be respected. We all want to be successful. We all want to feel needed. We all want to have these things. We all want to be happy. We want to travel. We want to do what we love. We want to eat good food. We want to do the things that we want to do when we want to do them. And that's the same for every single person, okay? And I can only add value to you and others when I make myself more valuable. And this is why you continue to increase your leadership and you continue to grow. And that, my friends, is the law of empowerment. Alrighty. Continuing on, we have the law of buy-in. So people buy into the leader first, and then they buy into the vision. So they're actually going to buy into you first, the leader, and then they buy into the vision, not the other way around. A lot of times people think it's the other way around. So people buy into the leader, then the vision. So what you want to do is always sell yourself, right? And then you can sell the dream, because every vision is filtered through the messenger. So essentially the leader finds the dream, and then the people find the leader, and then the dream. So it's vice versa, okay? And with the selling of ourselves and connecting of people, they connect with the dream. So ask yourself, do I love my people? Do I enjoy being around them? Do I have a good relationship with them? Do they enjoy me and being around me? And that's how you're going to start to get that buy-in, and you're going to get them to buy in. So this is basically how the buy-in process works, and understand too that this is also cousin to the law of respect, because if people respect you, they're more naturally going to buy in a lot easier. So what happens is the people see the problem, step number one, and the leader sees the problem and the potential. Okay, so the leader now has a plan, and the leader believes in the people, the leader believes in the future, and this leader, he's going to share this belief with the people. And since the people believe in the leader's belief, the people buy into the leader. And that's it. That's the buy-in process. So it starts with the leader, okay? It starts with the leader. It starts with you. That's why, again, if you continue to improve yourself, you continue to grow yourself, you continue to be a better leader, you're going to get more buy-in. It's going to be a lot easier for your team to buy into what you're doing. You're going to have a lot more respect. And you notice how a lot of these laws, they do run parallel with each other, and they kind of flow into one another. So the more you can increase in one area, the more you're increasing in multiple areas, kind of like that rising tide again, raising all the ships. Okay? But now let's talk about the law of victory. Okay, the law of victory, which states that leaders find a way for the team to win. Leaders find a way for the team to win. Okay, winners win, and winners are leaders. Leaders win. Okay, victorious leaders find the alternative to winning unacceptable. Right? Think about some of the greatest leaders in history. Right? Because victorious leaders go after it with everything at their disposal, right? Think of the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, the Tom Brady's, and yes, these are just sports analogies, but the same happens across business, across continents, across countries, across all different types of leaders. The greatest leaders throughout all of history understand this well, that victory is a part of it. You got to be able to win. If you win as a leader, man, what a way for people to respect you and follow you. And here's a famous quote from Winston Churchill. I love this quote. He goes, "You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word. It is victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory, however long and hard the road may be, for without victory, there is no survival." That is a powerful, powerful, powerful quote from Winston Churchill, and he understands the power of victory. So what does it actually look like? What does this law of victory look like? Well, number one, leadership has to recognize that they are responsible for winning, for victory, because losing is unacceptable, which means your passion for winning and being the best is unquenchable, but creativity is essential. And from there, quitting is unthinkable, which means your commitment is unquestionable, which leads to the victory being inevitable. And that is exactly what the law of victory looks like, my friends. And with that, that will take us into the law of priorities. The law of priorities, which leaders understand that activity is not necessarily accomplishment, okay? Leaders understand that activity is not necessarily accomplishment, okay? Think about that. And it basically comes with, okay, like the Pareto principle. And I'm sure you've probably heard this, the 80-20 rule. And it has to do with priorities versus production. So, for example, if you have 10 tasks and you focus on doing the top 2 most important tasks, you're going to get an 80% return on your time. Versus the counter, if you focus on the bottom 8 tasks, you'll get a 20% return on your time. So it's all about prioritizing the most important activities. Leaders know how to prioritize, okay? Because sometimes you have to let fires burn, especially in a business, in a company, especially in like a startup situation, right? Like in a startup business, you have so many fires all across the board because there's so many things that need to be improved and built on and made better. But what is the biggest priority? What is the maximum thing where we can squeeze it and get the most juice versus trying to fix all these little things and all these little fires that don't move the needle? We want to focus on and prioritize the most important activities first because we're going to get the largest return on our time there. So how in fact do we do this? How do we prioritize our life in the law of priorities? Well, number one, ask yourself, what is required of me? Okay, very first, right? What is required of me? Okay, and then ask yourself return. What gives me the greatest return? And then also ask yourself from the reward perspective, what gives me the greatest reward? And when you ask these 3 questions, it's going to help you see pretty clearly, this is what I need to prioritize. It should jump right out at you when you ask yourself those questions. So for me, and in my life, what are my top 4 priorities? Okay, what are the top things that drive me? Well, leadership is definitely number 1. Okay, leadership is a massive priority for me because I know that is the biggest factor of the rising tide in my life. Is the more that I learn to lead, the more that I learn to grow, and the better person I become, the better man I become, the better entrepreneur I become, the better human I become, the better leader I become, the more that's going to compound and impact every other area of my life. Number 2 for me, networking. Major priority for me in my life. I learned this very early on, 12 years ago when I was 19 years old. The very first business I got into was a network marketing business, an affiliate marketing business. And what they told me was, your network is your net worth. Okay, they said your network is your net worth. And I totally ran with that concept, and I took it even way far beyond that business. I've taken that into everything that I do, so I am constantly making it a major focus in my life. And in fact, I do it virtually daily, every single day. New people are being brought into my network, and I'm connecting with new people every single day on a daily basis. I'm also going out to local business networking events and meetups and groups where I can meet new people, new business people, establish new relationships, and I continue to expand and compound my network every single day, week, month, and year. And that's why I have thousands and thousands and thousands of people in my Rolodex. And then also the quality of my network. So I make it a huge emphasis to get around people that are achieving at a level of where I want to be. They're above me. They're better than me. And it goes with the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You got to get in the room where you're the dumbest person. And I love that feeling when I get into a room and I feel like, wow, I can be a sponge in this room. Everyone in this room makes tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. These are all people that I can learn from. And I feel, not in a negative connotation, but I feel dumb or I feel stupid in this room. I love that feeling because that's a feeling of growth. It's not a feeling of lack or lack of self-worthiness or I'm not good enough. It's an empowering feeling. It's an exciting feeling because I'm continuing to raise the bar, and my network and the people I'm around in my circle, they're my rising tide. So if everyone around me in my circle is above me, that's naturally going to pull me up to their level. Communicating is huge. Communicating is massive. So it's a major emphasis for me to communicate, especially as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. Communication is huge with my team, with my partners, creating clarity. Okay, communication is huge. And then I love to create, write, teach, and that's where I'm putting a huge emphasis on this now moving forward is actually sharing what I know and teaching people what I know and what I've learned um, through my successes, but more so through my failures because those are the best teachers that you can have, right? They say a smart man can learn from his own mistakes, but a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. And the wisest man learns from the successes of others. Okay, so I want to be that mentor that can help people compress time frames and achieve their goals a lot faster instead of going through a lot of this sort of roller coaster ride that I had to go through because I didn't really have the guidance or the mentorship that really helped me avoid or get around some of the obstacles I was hitting head on, and obviously you need to hit obstacles. There is no success without obstacles, without pullbacks, without um, a bit of zigzagging. It's never just a straight woo. I succeed and I win. It's not easy. It's not hard. So like you have to face your own battles, but it definitely helps when you can face less battles because you learn from the mistakes of others. You learn from the experiences of others. So this is a big emphasis in priority in my life is to extract the knowledge that I have and get it out there to people so they can learn from it. And also for me, it's going to help document the process for me and document the growth for me because I want to look back on my life and be able to pull from my life and pull from my own experiences from a state of documentation of fact where it's actually laid out and factual here in the present moment because 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I'm not going to remember, everything that's in my mind today. So by me documenting it and putting it out here right now, I can go back and reference these things and see, okay, these are, the things that I was learning at the time. Excuse me. These are the things I was learning at the time. These are the things that I was doing. This is the way that I viewed the world. Like this is my documented story in my life, and also it's going to help me continue to learn from my own mistakes and not repeat those things over and over by documenting what those are. Okay. Then we have the law of priorities. So this states that leaders understand, okay, that activity is not necessarily accomplishment. So again, we're moving forward with it. We're still on that pace. So people don't pay for average, right? Understand that. People don't pay for average. So you want to double down on what you're good at. You want to organize or agonize. You want to choose or lose, evaluate or stalemate. And that, my friends, is the law of priorities. Prioritize, prioritize. Okay, organize or agonize, choose or lose, evaluate or stalemate. The law of priorities. All right, and next we have the law of sacrifice, which states that a leader must give up to go up. So a leader must give up to go up. There is sacrifice that you are going to be sacrificing, right, in order to go up. So you got to get up, number one, to go up. You got to grow up to go up. You got to give up to go up. And you got to gather up to go up. It's our job as leaders to take people to the top. And for everything you gain, you must also lose something is a quote by Emerson, and this is so true because you have to sacrifice. You have to, you know, choose. You have to prioritize. You're prioritizing, one thing for the other. So in order to go up and to get to the top, you do have to give up, and you're going to have to continually sacrifice to stay at the top. So it's either you pay now, you pay now and you play later, right? If you don't pay on the front end, you don't get to play later, and the longer you wait to pay on the front end, the higher the price goes. So understand, again, there is no success without sacrifice, and the higher the level of leadership, the greater the sacrifice, and you have to give up to stay up. So like once you're up, like you have to continually sacrifice, and you have to continue to give up, and you have to continue to sacrifice those things in order to stay up. That is the law of sacrifice. And then that leads us to the law of timing. So the law of timing states that when to lead is as important as what to do and where to go. Okay, the law of timing is closely related to the law of intuition, right? And it's like the popular song from, it's Kenny Rogers, I believe, but you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em. You know that song. Everyone knows that song. But when you're playing poker, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. It's your sense of timing. It's your sense of intuitiveness. Okay, so the best leaders understand the double-edgedness of this sword, which is timing, because the wrong action at the wrong time. All right, sorry about that. Had to pause for a second. My neighbor's kids were like screaming out at their pool, and I thought someone was needing some help or some assistance. So, um, but again, so the best leaders understand the double-edgedness of the sword. So this means that the wrong action at the wrong time is a total disaster. Okay, the wrong action at the right time is a mistake, but the right action at the wrong time is going to give you resistance, and only the right action at the right time is going to equal success, right? So there's a double-edgedness to the law of timing, because it can either be a disaster or it can be a success. But you have to nail the right action at the right time. If you don't have these two variables paired together properly, you got disaster, mistake, or resistance. Okay, so right action at the right time. So these are the requirements of timing. And again, remember, when to lead is as important as what to do and where to go. So you need to have understanding, you need to have maturity, you need to have confidence, you need decisiveness, experience, intuitiveness, and preparation. These are all the requirements to help you nail the timing as a leader. Okay, because the timing of the decision is as important as the decision as itself, and when to lay it all on the line. So after you have defined reality, after you have identified the issues, after you have met with the influencers, your EF Huttons, your inner circle, your key players, after you've received buy-in, after you've communicated the vision, after you've modeled the behavior that you desire in others, after you have overcome each one of those issues, then and only then you lay it on the line, and then you make the decision. This is going to help you have impeccable timing as a leader in your organization, in your business, in your family, in your life, in anything and everything that you're leading. There you have it, my friends. The 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. We hit them all. Okay? Law of the lid, law of influence, law of process, law of navigation, solid ground, respect, intuition, magnetism, big mo, explosive growth, reproduction, legacy, connection, E.F. Hutton, inner circle, empowerment, buy-in, victory, priorities, sacrifice, timing. These laws, this is it. This is the only laws. These are universal laws, irrefutable, which means you cannot argue against these, because they are laws, like the law of gravity. So you got to nail these, okay? And you don't have to be the best or perfect at every single one, We talked about that, okay? But you do need to put an emphasis on growing as much as you can, and in the areas that you more so excel in, double down on those. Double down on those. But building in all these areas of your life and becoming a leader, it will only serve you in a positive manner. If you work on all these things, is there any possible situation or way where you could end up with like it not positively impacting you? Like, no. No. This is only going to positively impact you and your life and everything that you're doing. So these are the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Shout out to John C. Maxwell, the king of leadership. This is where I learned all this. This is from John C. Maxwell, and this is my take on the laws. This is my take on what I've learned from John C. Maxwell, and putting it into my own words. And every time I teach this stuff, it gets further and further ingrained into my being, into my bones, into my body. And so by me taking his knowledge and extracting it and taking copious notes and then creating these PowerPoints and learning the information over and over and over and over and over again, these things stick to me like second nature, and I'm able to go out and naturally act in this way as a leader. So naturally, by absorbing this thing and by eating, sleeping, breathing leadership 24/7, and always thinking, am I being the best leader that I can be? Am I following these laws? Am I learning as I go and improving? That's what's going to help me become the best leader in my life, and that's what's going to help you become the best leader in your life. And my goal is to teach you how to be a leader in your life, in your business. My goal is to teach you how to make smarter and better decisions as an entrepreneur. My goal is to teach you, for you to learn, and for you to take my results and compress those time frames, achieve what I've achieved in a decade plus, and soon to be, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, as I go. Take everything that I learned over my entire career and you achieve it in a fraction of the time. That is a goal of the mentor. The students, the mentees, should achieve more than the mentor in a shorter amount of time, because the mentor is leading the way. So that is my goal to you. This is the value that I want you to get from my channel. I want you to learn these things, embody these things, embrace these things, learn these things, know these things, feel these things, and be these things. And so with that, I will leave you here with the end of the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Let me know what you learned from this video and how it's going to impact your life, and what are the areas that you're going to focus on in being a leader in your life. And you guys can do this. No matter where you think you're at today, you can do this. You are powerful. You are a human. We are all the same. And whatever you focus on, whatever you put your intention to, that is the area of your life that's going to grow. So be active in your growth. Be active in your pursuit of success. Be active in your pursuit of being the best you that you can possibly be, so that when you reach the end of your life, you can look back on it with a smile and you can say, damn, I fucking did it. I lived a goddamn good life. I am proud of what I did, that I went out and I lived. I didn't hide. I didn't take the scared rabbit route. I went and lived, and I pushed myself to my maximum capacity. I pushed myself to my maximum potential. I took chances. I put it on the line. I took risks. I had wins. I have losses. But I'm here now, standing at the top of the mountain, because I sacrificed. I gave up to go up, and I lived a life worth living. I maximized my human experience. I fucking did it. And that's what I want for you. And that, my friends, is the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. This is a training based on John C. Maxwell's education and what he's put out there. This is my take on it. Thank you guys. Much love, and I appreciate you all.